Good evening, everyone. We're going to wait a little bit until the rest of your classmates are here. So let's wait just a minute, please. All right, guys. We're going to start today's class. Let me share today's presentation, and please, everyone must turn their cameras on. All right, today we're going to start with the reading part. Share it with you. All right. Okay, so if you want to, you can take some notes. Please, Annie, Karen, Fernando, Cecilia, you have to turn your cameras on. It is mandatory for everyone to have their cameras on. Okay, guys, 1 second, please. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to start with today's class. Okay, everybody's there. Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to continue with the next section. We're going to work reading. As you remember, each section is always going to be 30 points. It doesn't matter the amount of questions that you get or the amount of time. Each section is always going to have 30 points. All right, welcome back, Karen. Great. So, how it's organized, the structure for the reading part. So we basically have different passages. Does anyone know the meaning of passage? Maybe Angel? Do you know the meaning of this word? You might.
Exactly, I don't remember.
You can you take a guess, maybe? What do you think means a passage?
Maybe it's like
We're in the reading part, so
a topic about a topic.
it's something close. You're actually very close. So a passage is like a text, no? Es como un pasaje, and is obviously it's going to talk about a topic, a random topic, right? In this case, well, the structure is telling that we are either going to get 3 passages or 4 passages, all right? The percentage of getting this extra passage or text in this part, in this section, it's 20%, all right? So you mostly get 3 passage, all right? But, well, I'm going to explain that later on, all right? So a passage, right, this text, is going to have 700 words, around 700 words long, all right? So either if you get 300, you're going to get this amount of words, and if you get 4 passages, you're going to get 400 this amount of words, all right? Just a reminder that if you get 4 passages, one of them is going to be unscored. That means that you won't get any points on that. It's that's how it works. The algorithm in TOEFL. So you either get an extra in the reading or you get an extra in the it's not the speaking, it's the listening. All right. and either one that is extra is always going to be unscored. All right, so it doesn't matter where you get it, it's going to be unscored. All right, how many questions are you going to get per passage? Right, you're going to get 10 questions. So if you get 3 passages, you're going to get 30 questions total. And if you get 4 passages, you're going to get 40 questions total. All right. For the students that are joining us, we are explaining the reading section. All right, we're just starting in case you have any questions. Okay, so obviously the length of to work in each of both situations is going to change depending of how many passages I'm getting, right? If I get, well, you're going to get 18 minutes to work in each passage. So it means that if I get 3 passages, I'm going to get 54 minutes to work. And if I get 4 passages, I get 72 minutes to work on this section. All right, so it's not a lot of time, if you may ask me, to read and to answer 10 questions in 18 minutes. It's not the worst thing to do, but it can be a little bit challenging, right? And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to see some types of questions that you might get and some tips and how to do it. All right, so let's start. All right, the content. So what type of content can you get? You can get either academic topics, that it could be maybe history, science, biology, more academic, or you can get more like common topics such as psychology, geology, extincting animals, etc. Something that you might heard on the news, but it doesn't matter which type of topic you get. For example, if you get something related, I don't know, something that is not very common, meteorology, I don't know. For example, Cecilia, are you familiarized with this topic, meteorology?
Some topics, but meteorology, not. I am not familiar.
All right, great. It doesn't matter if you guys get any topic that you have no idea about. The whole information, well, the passage is going to give you the whole information that you need to understand it. All right, so it can be any something more like maybe more academic, that not many of us are very familiarized, or something common. In each way, either way, you are going to find the whole information in the reading part. All right, so don't get worried about that. Okay, so the most challenging thing for the reading part is time management, because you can, it depends of your skills or how secure do you feel when you read, right? Some people might feel okay, right? But some people, whenever they're reading something new, you might need it to read it a second time, right? And even a third time, or review some words, right? That can happen sometimes. But this is, we shouldn't do that here. We have to try to use our time in the wiser manner possible. All right, so for instance, these are some tips to learn to manage your time better. Do not skip questions. For example, let's pretend you're reading this topic about, I don't know, COVID, and then you get some questions, and then you get a question that you don't know what to do. You've already read the question, you already read the answers, right? And if you're not answering, even not trying to answer, right, and you leave it blank, you are wasting time there. Remember, you just have 18 minutes to work on this. So even if it takes you just 1 minute, that minute is it's a lot of time while you're working on this. So try to don't do that. Whenever you are reading something, you have a question and you are not very sure about the question, answer whatever you think it's the best possible answer. Just answer it and continue working to the next question and continue. And if at the end you have some time left, go back and you can review some of your answers, but do not skip questions. All right? The questions are always going to go in the order of the text. In a little bit, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. But basically, you're going to get maybe 5, 6 paragraphs, yes? And the questions, the order of the questions are going to be in paragraph 1, no, they talk about this, and they're going to ask you something, and you will get it's always multiple selection. And then you might get another question about the first paragraph, then jump to the paragraph 2, they can make you 2, 3 questions about it, and they jump paragraph 3, etc. Okay, so it's always going to go in order of the text. And if you are missing time, just choose an answer and continue. All right, don't try to get stuck too much in one question, because you are taking some time from the rest of the questions. All right, also don't waste too much time. Well, what I just said, right? Don't jump around, don't try to go and review all the questions and find the easiest one and then go back. Try to just go in order and answer the best you can. And if you have time, hopefully you will have time at the end, you can go back and review some of your answers. So this is the first tip that I'm going to give you today. Try to finish the passage, sorry, this is a typo, a passage in 16 minutes or less. In that way, in the last 2 minutes, you can go back and review some of your answers. All right? So this will mean that you will have to read the passage in around 6 minutes, which is not hard, but we will have to read it at a certain time, the piece of reading. We cannot stay too much time reading certain paragraph. All right? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is what it looks like a 700 passage. All right, it might look a lot, it might look a little, but this is an example of a passage. All right, so this is what you're going to get to read. For example, this is a random one, right? This is talking about history, and it's talking about the Maya culture. All right, so for example, here we have different paragraphs, right? So the questions order is going to always start with the first one, the second, third, etc. All right, so this is the text we are going to work on today. All right, but before we start, I would like to see if anyone have any questions maybe so far. There's something that might not be clear, so we can review it a little bit more. If there are no questions, we're going to start checking some of the different type of questions that you can get. All right, so before we start this, you're going to get 10 different type of questions. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a question per each type of question. All right, no, it's random. It's part of the algorithm, and it's all choose randomly, but there are some rules in certain questions. Okay, let's see the first one. So for example, in the vocabulary question, it's like the question it's mentioned. No, it's a vocabulary question. They're basically going to ask you about a synonym of a word or phrase. This type of question, it's very easy to answer, right? Because we just have to know what the word means and try to find a synonym. And to answer this, we should try to see some context clue. Where do I find that? When in the text, right? What they are talking about, right? If they're talking about biology, well, obviously it's going to, that is the context, right? Or maybe history, etc. This is a very high frequency question. You might get 2 to 5 per passage, which is a lot. And this is especially important because this type of question is the easiest one to answer and the fastest. So we have to try to see what the word means in a context, in certain context, because sometimes some words change, right, depending on what concept you're working on. So let's see. We're going to see an example. All right. So we're starting with the same topic, right? The decline of the Maya. So for instance, here they're asking us, let's see who can help us. Walter, could you please read the question and the options.
Okay, the word advanced in paragraph 1 is closest in meaning to marvels, decrement, modern, independently.
All right. So we get a question, we have some options, always multiple selection, right? But we obviously have to read the text. And at the beginning, we did it. Yes, sorry. Does anyone have any questions? All right, sorry. Okay, so we already read this. That we get the paragraph, or yes, the paragraph here, it doesn't mean that we have to read it again. It doesn't. All right, so we don't have to read this again. Now, just to practice, we will, but we usually, you don't have to, you don't need to read it, because you have already read it, right? Antes, al inicio, cuando has comenzado a trabajar con este texto, ya lo has leído, ¿no es cierto? Y cada vez que tengas una pregunta, se te va a mostrar igual el texto, simplemente para darte una idea, digamos, y que te acuerdes o que recuerdes de qué están hablando específicamente. No significa que tú lo vayas a volver a leer. En algunos casos, tal vez algunas partes sí se pueden leer, pero si tú comienzas a leer, ya pierdes el tiempo. Ya estás desgastando, digamos, tu tiempo para ir respondiendo las preguntas. Aunque en este caso esta respuesta es la más sencilla. Okay, we're going to start reading this. So maybe, Cecilia, can you help us to read this paragraph? And then we will answer, all right?
Yes. The decline of the Maya of the Yucatan Peninsula were one of the history's most advanced civilization. Their city and pyramids were architectural marvels. I continue, or just the and they had mathematics advanced enough to develop the concept of 0 centuries before it came into common usage, independently of other mathematically advanced cultures such as the Sumerians. And they were also consummate astronomers, having devised an accurate 365-day calendar, and perhaps more importantly, special for historians, and they devised a written language that was used to record their advancement. But for all that is known about the Maya, the precise cause of their demise remains a mystery.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Okay, so basically here we are just trying to get familiarized with the topic, right? Here we have a great idea of what they are talking about, right? But if we might get at that point, not too, we don't remember exactly, no? The most that we can do could maybe read the first paragraph, all right? But because we already know the topic and we already read it, we know that it's talking about history, right? In that case, advanced civilization, for instance, what do you think, Cecilia? What will be the option? They're asking us about this word. What is the closest in meaning?
I think that is the last one, modern.
Yes, sorry, you already seen it, but yes, it's very easy. As you see, no, how much does it take you to answer that, right? Not that much. So maybe tops you will answer these, I don't know, in 30 seconds. So you have some time to save for some questions that might take a little bit more time. All right. And well, any questions maybe with this first type of question? All right, it's the easiest one, so we might not get too many questions, right? Let's continue. Let's see the second type of question. All right, so in this type of question, it's called a detailed or factual question. Here we have to find a piece of information, so it's an open question. All right, we have to find something. They're going to ask about something, and then we have to answer. It's also a very high frequency question. We can get maybe 2 to 4 per passage, all right? And also, basically here we have to find the keyword in the question, all right? And be careful not to choose the wrong answer because of the wrong detail. So sometimes this question may be a little bit tricky because they're gonna try to put some answers that are close to the correct question or to the correct answer, but they're going to change something, some words, and they might, the first, well, at first it will look like that's the correct answer, but that's not exactly the answer. They do that a lot. So try to take a look to some words because sometimes can be tricky. All right. So this is an example of this question. All right. So we're going to go with the next person. Annie, maybe you can help us, please, reading this paragraph, and then we will check the question and the answer.
The preclassic period of Mayan civilization began around, how do you say that number?
You can say it in pairs, or you can say it like 1,800 or 800. 1800, sorry.
1800 before Christ, with some historians dating the era as far back as 2000 before Christ, and lasted until 250 before Christ. During this time, the Mayans formed the basis for their culture through the development of agriculture, the formation of cities, and the construction of their first stone pyramids. While there is no conclusive evidence as to where the Mayan people came from, archaeological findings support them having burrowed in these beginning states and later refined their calendar, religion, and numbering system from the earlier Olmec civilization. Their earliest pyramids were also most likely built upon Olmec precursors that had been fashioned out of mud. The first Mayan cities were established in the pre-classic period around 750 before Christ, with the lost city of Mirador believed to have been the largest. It is estimated to have held between 100,000 and to 100,000 people. It says drafting even that of the largest classic period city, Taika.
All right, great job. Thank you very much. I hope the rest of you were also following the reading. Okay, so obviously they are continue to mention about the decline of the Maya, right? Which is the topic. Okay, we have Ara and Shirley. Please turn your cameras on, and we are working on the reading section. All right, so this is the second type of question. We have to find a piece of information, basically. Okay, so let's see, maybe Karen, could you please read the question and then the options?
Yes. According to the paragraph 2, what was the likely relationship between the Olmec and Mayan civilization? The Maya city of Tikal was founded on top of the early Olmec city of Mirador. Historians cannot easily distinguish between archaeology findings from the two cultures, Olmec cultures, and knowledge informed later Mayan system, and the Mayans immigrated from the area that the Olmec had previously inhabited.
All right, guys. So basically, thank you very much, Karen. So basically here we have to find this piece of information. Can anyone find it? They're asking us what was the likely relationship between the Olmec and Maya civilization. So basically here, the first thing, now, obviously, if we don't know the answer and we're totally lost about it, we have to try to find maybe the word, no, Olmec, and try to see, well, no, what makes sense. But here, because we're practicing, we're gonna try to find it here. All right, who can tell me where is the answer, or what is the answer? What is the relationship between the Olmec and Maya civilization? So what do you say, guys? Okay, so I will ask someone randomly, what do you think, Fernando? Which of the options will you choose?
I don't know. I'm like a little bit confused. I think I can go with the. Mm, I don't know. I think I'm with the first and the last.
Yes.
One of those two.
Okay, the first one or the last one? All right. Does anyone agree with Fernando? Maybe have you choose the first one or the last one, or maybe any other? Um, what about Cecilia? What do you say? Which one seems?
I think that is the last,
Why?
because in the passage it's explained that the first Mayan cities were established in the I don't know, I confusing, but I read in the passage that the Mayas emigrate from the Olmec.
Yes. And as you see, they do that. They do that a lot. They're gonna try to kind of like use some similar words to try to rephrase two different answers and make them look like both can be the right answer, but they just change some words, right? They're using some words that are similar, but at the end the meaning is not exactly the same, and it's a tricky question. That's maybe the hardest part to find the right option is that to don't get tricked, right, by the answer. So let's see, maybe Raul, what do you say? Which one will you choose?
Which question? The
Number,
what's the
yes, the options of
what's
them.
the? I think is the last.
The last one too. All right. Any other person have any other guess? We're just practicing, right? We're taking some time to get familiarized with this type of questions. But maybe anyone else thinks my baby is the last one, or maybe any other? What about Karen? What do you say?
Um, I'm so confused, but I go with the rest.
With the last one?
Yes.
All right. Actually, no. It was the third option. Olmec culture and knowledge inform later Mayan systems. I know it might be a little bit surprising, but we have to find the relationship. What is the relationship? Obviously, here they're talking that first was this culture, right? It has some developments, and then later on it was this other civilization, right? The Olmec. But basically, a little bit reading between the lines, this is the answer. Why? Because they kind of like they were related in this manner, right? They were connected in culture and also in knowledge. That's the relationship between the both of them. All right. I know it might get tricky, right? But that's the whole point of this. That's why in the first part, while you're reading, you have to try to understand everything, right? And try to understand it in a big picture, right? While you're reading, not in every single detail that you find, but in the big picture. All right, we have to understand what exactly they are talking about. And if at some point we get a little bit confused, we always have, right, the passage, as I mentioned, we always get it. The tricky part here is that we should always keep an eye on the clock. Because remember, for each passage, we just have 18 minutes. But it's not like, okay, first passage, 18 minutes done. It doesn't matter if you finish or not. Let's start all over with this next passage. No. You get either the 54 minutes all in one or 72 all in one. And you are the one that you guys are the ones that have to manage your time. So that's why it's important that you have to keep an eye on the clock, on the timer. And obviously you can read this, but what will happen at the end? You won't have enough time to work on the next text or next passages and also in their questions. All right, so we have to be very smart to answer this. Okay, maybe any questions in this question, in the second type of question we see, which is factual questions. Okay, for the ones that are joining us a little bit late, we're taking a look to the second type of question, detailed or factual question, which is basically an open question and where we have to find a piece of information or fact. That's all. All right, it's very frequent and also it's hard to get confused. However, no, try to follow your instincts. Try to follow your instincts and whatever you think at first, answer and then continue. Because as you see, we can stay a lot of time in one question, but that's not the point. We're just practicing, but that's not how it is in the TOEFL, right? We have to be fast. Okay, now let's continue with the next question. Please, if you have any questions at some point, let me know. All right, this next type of question is very easy to identify it because it's always going to have this word, except, okay? It's the except type of question. And it's usually going to have that same word or it's going to get a not. All right. And how does this type of question work? They're going to ask about an information that it's not in the passage. All right. Might be easy if we have understood everything, but it can get a little bit tricky too. All right. So we're going to get a one or none of these type of questions. It's not very frequent. All right. And how do we answer? We answer by elimination of options. So basically, you start reading the options and then you say, this is in the text. Yes, this is. Which one? I have not found it. That's the answer. All right. So let's see. This is another example. It's the same, right? We're continuing with the same. We're working with paragraph 1. All right. So let's choose another person to help us read. Maybe Shirley. Maybe you can help us reading and
Okay.
then question in the
The decline of the Maya. The Maya of the Yucatan Peninsula were one of history's most advanced civilizations. Their cities and pyramids were architectural marvels, and they had mathematics advanced enough to develop the concept of 0 centuries before it came into common usage. Independently of the of other mathematically advanced scholars. Also consummate astronomers having devised an accurate 365-day calendar, and perhaps most importantly, especially for historians, they devised a written language that was used to record their advancements. But for all that is known about the Maya, the precise cause of their demise remains, I can see the last word,
Oh, it's a mystery.
a mystery.
All right, great. The question, please, and then the options, and let's see.
According to paragraph 1, which of the following is not mentioned as an example of the advanced nature of the Maya? They helped Sumerians understand the concept of zero. They created an exact calendar. They developed a writing system. They documented their achievements.
All right, great. Okay, guys. So thank you very much, Shirley. So basically, same thing, right? That's an example. How do we know it's an except type of question? We get the not in this case. It's not mentioned as an example of the advanced nature of the Maya. So who will say, okay, Annie, maybe Annie, what would you say? Okay, let's see. And everyone else, if you can practice, will be awesome. They helped Sumerians understand the concept of zero. Did they mention that? An example of
Yes.
advanced. All right. So we have it here, right? It says their cities and pyramids were architectural marvels and they had mathematics advanced enough to develop the concept of zero centuries before it came into common usage. All right. Okay, they created an exact calendar. Walter, what do you say? Is it mentioned? They created an exact calendar.
Yes.
Right. Same thing, right? Over here, they also consummate astronomers having devised an accurate 365-day calendar, which is an exact calendar that we're still using, right? They develop a writing system. What do you say, Cecilia? Is it mentioned?
Yes.
Right? They devised a writing language, right? That was used to record and their advancements. All right. They documented their achievements. What do you say? They documented, sorry, their achievements. Well, it is actually mentioned here, right? That was the writing language was used to record their advancements. So what do you say? It's a bit tricky, right? So one of the options is not right. It's not like it's just mentioned in the paragraph in this case. No, it has to be it's not an example of the advanced nature of the Maya. So which one?
I
Could it be
think
the first one?
the answer is they helped Sumerians understand the concept of zero. That's not mentioned, I think, because they never have some connection to Sumerians. It's logical.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. So it's kind of like introducing the topic, right? But it's not exactly mention it as an example of the advance of nature of the Maya, right? So that's why we have to take a look too. It's not like it's just mentioned. Oh, it's not mentioned. That's all. No, it can be a little bit tricky sometimes. But obviously, to answer that, we might have to remember some facts. No, it's obviously here we're just reading it for the first time, right? It's easier to make some connections in the second time, like you're taking a second look. But it can be also a little bit tricky. So don't fall on that. And obviously, do not take too much time trying to answer this type of question. All right. Any questions maybe related to this type of question, to accept type of question? All right. It's not a hard. It's not a hard. Okay. So don't worry about it. You're going to practice this type of questions also tomorrow. Okay, great. Let's continue. Next type of question, inference questions. Okay, so what means that? Okay, inference is is to say something that, well, to explain something in your words, not imply something without saying it. It's like reading between the lines, basically. That's inference, not inferir, basically, no? So you might get 2 questions per passage, all right, or none. You have to, like I mentioned, read between the lines to come to a conclusion from the given information. So it's not like you're going to find the answer right in the passage. You have to understand the passage to know the answer. All right? And also narrow your choices by eliminating options. Okay? So remember, inference is try to read between the lines. Leer entre líneas. Okay, so let's see. This is an example of this type of question. So how do I know this is the type of question? No, you might get some words. In this case, infer. No? So let's see who can help us now. Maybe Ara. Ara, could you please help us reading the passage and then the question and the options? And the rest of you guys, if you can read too, will be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
The decline of the Maya. The pre-classic period of Mayan civilizations began around
Yes, 1,800 or maybe
800 1800 BC, with some historians dating the era as far back as 200 BC and lasted until during this time. The Mayans formed the basis for their culture through the development of agriculture, the formation of cities, and the construction of their first stone pyramids. While there is no conclusive evidence as to Mayan people came from, support them having borrowed in these beginning stages, and later refined their calendar, religion, and numbering system from the earlier Olmec civilization. Their earliest pyramids were also most likely built upon Olmec precursors that had been fashioned out of mud. The first Mayan cities were established in the pre-classic period around with the lost city believed to have been the largest. It is estimated to have held between people its size, drafting even that of the largest class period city, Tikal. According to paragraph 2, what can be inferred about the pre-classic period of Mayan civilization? Their largest pyramids were completed during this time. Tikal was its largest city. Pyramids built during this time were made from mud. There is some disagreement about its exact.
All right, thank you very much, Ari. Great job. All right, so we already read this one, right? But we are practicing, so we need to try to find this different answer. So, what can be inferred about the pre-classic period of the Maya civilization? Okay, what do you say, Fernando? What are your options or options?
I think there is some disagreement about its exact start.
All right. Continue, please.
I think that's the one I will choose because I don't know. I think the fourth haven't mentioned it in the text, but something that is in fear, I think that is the fourth one.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Fernando. Anyone else agrees with Fernando, or you have any other option? What about Walter? What will you say? What will be your answer?
I agree, and there is some disagreement about its exact start, I think.
All right, great. What about you, Shirley?
I do think also that the fourth one is the answer. There is some disagreement about it. Its exact start.
Why?
Because I mean they're always I'm not quite sure. I guess they say their earliest pyramids were also most likely built upon Olmec precursors that have been fashioned out of mud. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, I can understand what you mean. Yeah, like you want to know say something, but you know exactly how to say it. But yes, I know. Obviously, because they're asking us something that is reading between the lines is not going to be showing here, right? It's something that we have to understand. And in this case, yes, there is some disagreement about its exact start. Something that is being written between the lines is something that is going to be mentioned several times in the passage, right? They're going to keep talking about it. They're going to keep mentioning it, but they're not going to exactly say it. That's what we have to find. In this case, they're asking us about the pre-classic period of the Maya civilization. So we have to pay attention to that period exactly, right? And you guys, obviously, you were right. So there is some disagreement, about its exact start. All right. So what do you say about this type of question? Did you find it easy, hard, difficult? What do you say? Angel, please turn your camera on. What do you say, Raul? Raul, do you think this type of question is easy, hard? How do you find it?
So I think it's a little bit hard.
The main thing here, guys, thank you, Raul. The main thing here is to have had understood the passage forehand, right? Si no he entendido el texto, obviamente en este caso va a ser complejo responder, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, por eso cuando vayan leyendo, lo ideal sería que tal vez puedan tomar algunos apuntes de ideas generales, tal vez párrafo 1, ¿de qué idea general? Algunas palabras, para tener una idea. Párrafo 2, algunas palabras, así muy sueltas. Para que yo al momento ya de volver, aquí me están diciendo qué párrafo. 2. Entonces yo vuelvo y veo, bueno, a ver, me acuerdo un poco, ¿no? Recurro a mi memoria de corto plazo y de ahí trato de inferir, simplemente, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, lamentablemente en este caso creo que es una de las que implican mayor tiempo debido a que tienes que haber entendido todo, ¿no? Pero obviamente, lamentablemente no tenemos el tiempo necesario para volver a leer el párrafo. Como han visto, se demora, ¿no? Lo ideal es tratar de ir con nuestro instinto, escoger la opción que creamos que es correcta y continuar. De esa manera nosotros continuamos y al final si tenemos 2, 3 minutos de sobra dentro de esos 18 que están planeados para cada texto, digamos título o tema distinto, digamos, puedo volver. I can go back, vuelvo y puedo revisar. De pronto aquí tengo un poco de tiempo, me fijo, tengo 3 minutos, le doy una leída, pues reviso y en efecto puedo ver, ¿no es cierto? Luego puedo continuar con alguna otra pregunta que me haya tal vez, que no esté 100% seguro de que está bien o mal. ¿Ok? Entonces, veamos ahora, ¿no? Un poquito está aumentando el nivel de dificultad, but let's continue. All right. So then I think this is going to be the last type of question we're going to see. Purpose or function question. Okay, what is this type of question? So they're going to ask us why. Why the author is saying this, why the passage is talking about this, but we're going to get a why. Okay, we have to find this purpose, this por qué. It's not very frequent. You might get one or none of this type of question. It's going to relate to the question on the overall picture. Also, it's not like you were going to find the answer in certain part of the text. No, it's like a very general type of question that is looking at the big picture. Basically, it's that, no? Why does the author use this word? Why is he mentioning or she mentioning this? All right, remember we get this why. All right, so let's finish with this one. Let's see, Angel, can you please help us reading this passage?
Okay.
Thank you.
The Maya of the Yucatan Peninsula were one of the history's most advanced civilizations. Their cities and pyramids were architectural marvels, and they had mathematics advanced enough to develop the concept of zero centuries before it came into common usage, independently of other mathematically advanced cultures, such as the Sumerians. They were also custom-made astronomers, having devised an accurate 365-day calendar, and perhaps most importantly, especially for historians, they devised a written language that was used to record the advancements. But for all that is known about the Maya, the precise cause of their demise remains a mystery.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Could you read the question, please, in the options?
Why does the author use the phrase, especially for historians, in paragraph 1? The options
Yes, please.
To point out that a written language would be important for historians to understand the Maya, to establish that historians are especially important in our understanding of the Maya, to show how much historians have written about the Maya and their culture, to show that historians find the Maya written language unusually interesting.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Angel. Great job. Okay, what do you say, guys? Which of these options is correct to, like, why the author is going to use this phrase, especially for historians? What do you say?
I think it's the first one.
Walter.
Point out that a written language will be important for historians to understand the Maya.
All right, great. Why are you choosing that option?
Because it's logical to think about how can this writing language facilitates the work of the historians to understand the culture of the Maya.
Nice, very good. Thank you very much, Walter. And it's also, now we have the connector here of the topic right there. So that's a great option. Okay, what do you say, Raul? What's your answer for this question?
I'm not sure. I think it's the option 1, 2.
All right, great. Let's see, someone else. Annie, what do you say? What will be your answer? Annie, if you could turn your microphone on, please. All right, maybe she's having some trouble. Let's see, Cecilia, what do you say? What will you answer?
I think that is the option 2, but
right.
I'm not sure. I think that probably will in the option 1 or 2, but more the option 2.
Okay, why are
because summarize more details from the question.
All right, that's a great answer. All right, and finally, let's go with Angel that help us to read this passage. What will you answer?
I think is the first.
The first one?
Yes.
All right. So, yes, most of you guys were correct. It was the first option. I understand why sometimes we find some other options because they have very similar words, right? They're using the word understanding, important, right? But here is writing or is using a special word which is connected with the whole idea. No, they're talking about writing. However, no, this is the more complete answer. Uh, but this is still a second good option. However, because we have this a special word, a keyword, that's obviously the correct answer. All right, guys. So this with this we will finish today. Maybe do you have any questions related with the first different type of questions that we've seen? Tomorrow we're going to see the rest, and tomorrow we're going to see the other different types, the other 5 different type of questions. All right, maybe anyone has any questions related with what we just saw? All right, guys. So don't worry about that. We're going to keep checking on this tomorrow. So I'm going to launch today's polls. If you give me 1 second, please. Please, everyone on the call, answer it. All right, guys. I think one person is missing. Falta una persona, por favor, para responder. All right. Great job. Thank you very much, guys. Un segundo, por favor. Tengo que sacar foto de la lista. All right. Great. Thank you very much. Have a good night. And we will continue working on this on Thursday. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.